أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله
قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم
قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين.
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم ملك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين. وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا. Since we discussed earlier that the chapter entirely is of Meccan origin. In fact, it was revealed in the mid-period of Meccan era. Most of the leaders of the Meccan societies lost their slaves. Most of their slaves and their wards converted to Islam, such as Bilal ibn Rawahin, who happened to be a slave to Umayyah ibn Khalaf, Ammaru ibn Yasir radiallahu anhuma, and his mother as well, Sumayyah. The three of them were slaves to Banu Makhzum, Khabbab ibn al-Arati, Suhaib ibn Sinan al-Rumi. All those that were considered downtrodden and the lowest of the social strata of the Meccan society converted to Islam. Since during the Meccan period, still there was some kind of relationship between the unbelievers and the believers. So they used to be the ones taking care of those slaves, that is their former slaves and their wards that converted to Islam. And when they did convert, they urged them to denounce their faith and they refused. When they insisted on their faith, then they boycotted them and stopped giving them provisions and means of sustenance. So the Prophet ﷺ urged them that let them consider the relationship that is between them and continue sustaining them. Whenever they are reminded, whenever they are told that feed out of what the Almighty Allah has given you in terms of wealth, feed the poor, the needy, although they differ from you in terms of faith and ideology, you should still feed them and provide for them. قَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. Those who disbelieve will respond to this divine call, saying, لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. They will tell the believers, أَنُطْعِمُ مَنْ لَوْ يَشَاءُ اللَّهُ أَطْعَمَهُ. Would we feed those whom the Almighty Allah would have fed them if He so will. They said this in mockery, that since they converted to Islam, why won't the Lord they worship provide for them? Why would you then ask us to make the provision for them? Why? And the reason why the Almighty Allah asked the Prophet to call them to make provision for those poor people, so that by means of this provision, the Almighty Allah might have some mercy on them and touch their hearts so that they will convert to Islam. As a result of that, they will earn eternal salvation. But unfortunately for them, they mock the believers, saying, "Anut'imu man law yasha'ullahu at'ama." Shall we feed someone who the Almighty Allah can feed if He so will? That is, the Almighty Allah has the power to feed him if He so wish. In antum illa fi dalalim mubin. Certainly you are in obvious error.
ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين.
Then in their denial of resurrection and the judgment day, they would always praise the Prophet ﷺ with this question. In fact, it's one of the most oftenly repeated questions in the Holy Quran that the unbelievers always insist or persist in asking. That is, when is the ever promised day? When is the promise of the last day will come, if at all you are truthful in your claim that the last hour is going to be established? When is it going to be established?
ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون.
ما ينظرون, what are they waiting for? In fact, they wait for nothing but a single blast, sayhatan wahidatan, ta'khudhuhum, that will come to overtake them. That is the blow in the horn, the blow in the trumpet, the first blow that will strike them dead, all of them, all the living creatures will be bound to fall dead at this single blast. That is an-nafkhatul ula. Illa sayhatan wahidatan ta'khudhuhum, that blast will overtake them, that will take away their lives. وَهُمْ يَخَصِّمُونَ. Due to the suddenness of this event, it will take them unawares. In fact, they will be engaged in the common arguments and disputations of human life when the blast will be made, and it will instantly take away their lives. In connection with this, the Prophet ﷺ said, on the day of resurrection, people will be engaged in their routine daily activities, to the extent that somebody taking his meal will pick his food in his hand to his mouth. Before it can reach its mouth, then the last hour will be announced. Somebody taking his drink, before the cup will reach his mouth, then the last hour will be announced. Somebody bargaining for a particular commodity that he wants to buy, before he could finish bargaining, the last hour will be announced. Somebody trying to sell out his commodity, before he could conclude with his customer, the last hour will be announced. That is, the blow in the trumpet will be made by Angel Israfil, and that will claim the lives of all living things of that particular day. That is the first blast, a single blast as it's called here. Sayhatan wahidatan ta'khuzuhum, it will take them unawares. وَهُمْ يَخَصِّمُونَ while engaged in their common disputations and arguments. يَخَصِّمُونَ here, originally it was يَخْتَصِمُونَ, but the ta here is hidden in the ha. That is why it is pronounced as يَخَصِّمُونَ.
فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون.
Due to the suddenness of that blast, it will not give them any respite so that they can bequeath any legacy to their families. They will be given no respite to bequeath anything. Tawsiyatan. They cannot bequeath anything in terms of legacy or will. وَلَا إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. Nor would they be allowed to even speak, to even talk to their members of their families when the blast will overtake them. Meaning the members of their families too will fall victims of that blast. No one will be left behind so as to be entrusted with any legacy for execution, or so that something will be bequeathed to him. None will be spared at that blast. Tawsiyatan wala ila ahlihim yarji'una. They cannot even be given a chance to talk back to the members of their families because of the suddenness of the blast.
ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون.
That was the first blow in the trumpet. That is the first blast that will claim the lives of all the living things. The second one is ونفخ في الصور. That is after the first blast, at which all the living creatures in the heavens and the earth will fall dead, as made clear in another verse of the Holy Quran, in the chapter Zumar as well as the chapter Naml, where the Almighty Allah said, وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَصَعِقَ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا مَنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ ثُمَّ نُفِخَ فِي أُخْرَى فَإِذَا هُمْ قِيَامٌ يَنْظُرُونَ. In Surah Naml, the Almighty Allah said, وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَفَزِعَ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا مَنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ وَكُلٌّ أَتَوْهُ دَاخِرِينَ. The horn will be blown into by angel Israfil on the day of judgment, that is on the last day, on which all the living creatures will be killed by that single blast as a result of the blow into the horn. Then after their death, all living creatures in the heavens and earth will be killed. The Almighty Allah said, Illa man sha Allah, with the exception of those the Almighty Allah decided to spare in the heavens. An exception is made here in case of some angels, those that are in charge of taking care of the divine throne. وَيَعْمِلُ أَرْشَ رَبِّكَ فَوْقَهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ ثَمَانِيَةٌ. The Almighty Allah said in the chapter Ma'arij that it is 8 angels that are charged with the responsibility of carrying the divine throne. Those surrounding the safeguarded tablet, Allahul Mahfuz, those that are positioned around Kursi, others of angels that are in charge of taking care of the divine pen with which he writes all what is going to happen in the whole world and in the hereafter. O Al-Qalam, Al-Kursi, Allah and Al-Arsh. These were the ones that the Almighty Allah referred to as illa man sha'Allah. And these angels will be spared only for a while. After the blast, they too will be asked to die, of course, including angel and the four leading angels. Gabriel, angel Mikael, angel Israfil, angel Azrael. Then the Almighty Allah will ask angel Gabriel, after the death of all living creatures, including the rest of the angels, Gabriel, who else is left now? Oh my Lord, you are the only living God. There is absolutely nothing whatsoever besides you. And of course, your servant, angel Israfil, angel Mikael, angel Azrael, and you are tiniest of all. That is the tiniest of all your servants, Gabriel, referring to himself. Then the Almighty Allah said, ask Azrael to bring the life of his colleague, angel Mikael. And Azrael will go and take the life of his colleague, angel Mikael, and bring it. Then the Almighty Allah will ask Gabriel, of course he knows better, he will only ask him to show his power, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who else is left? So, oh my Lord, you are the only living God, and there is absolutely nothing besides you. And also, your servant Israfil, your servant Azrael, and your tiniest servant Jibril. Then he said, well, tell Mikael to take the life of Israfil. Then Azrael will go and take the life of his colleague Israfil, the one in charge of the horn. He too will be made to die. Then the Almighty Allah will ask Gabriel, who else is spared? Oh my Lord, you are the only living God, the only God, ever living God. And your servant Azrael and your tiniest servant Jibril. He said, then tell Azrael to bring out his life. Then Azrael, as he used to submit to the divine order, whenever he is commanded to take the life of any living thing, he would never hesitate. So when he was commanded to bring out his life, he did not hesitate as well. He instantly took out his life and submitted it. Scholars said at that point, because of the pain he would experience while taking his life, he would say that had he known how painful taking life is, he would have been very gentle with the believing servants. Then the Almighty Allah will ask Jibril, who else is left? He said, oh my Lord, you are the only living God. There is nothing, absolutely nothing besides you, except you. And also your tiniest servant, Jibril. So, well, Jibril, since all are dead, you too are bound to go. So, oh my Lord, I am submissive to your will. So then, bring out your life. Jibril will fall down in prostration to the Almighty Allah, and his life will come out instantly in obedience to the divine command. Then, at that point in time, the Almighty Allah will declare to the whole universe, Limanil mulkul yawm. Who else possesses power of any kind whatsoever? Is there anything that can even say, oh Lord, there is none except you? There will be no voice, single voice from any living creature that will even respond whether yes or no. Because to have anyone responding to this divine challenge, it means there is something beside the Almighty Allah. There shouldn't be anything, and there would be nothing on that day. At that particular point in time, there will be nothing, there will be no living thing. Kullu man alayha fanin wa yabqa wajhu rabbika zul jalali wal ikram. All the living creatures will perish, will die, with the exception of the essence of your Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he will declare limanil mulkul yawm, who else possess power of any kind, even over his own life. Is there any? There will be none to either respond and say no or yes. Then the Almighty Allah will respond to his own call, Lillahi al-Wahid al-Qahhar. Power belongs to none but to one and only over. That is one and only conquering Lord. The Lord that conquers all else that claim divinity or lordship. He conquered them today. There is none, even a living thing, that can respond and say no or yes. Lillahi al-Wahid al-Qahhar. The Almighty Allah. Then after 40 years, the Almighty Allah will bring about a rainfall for 40 years after the demise of all living things. The Almighty Allah will send down a heavy rain that will last for 40 years. After which, then the Almighty Allah will raise back to life his servant, angel Israfil, and give him the horn. He would give him the horn once again for him to blow in it for the resurrection. Then Israfil will blow into the trumpet for the second time, at which point all dead creatures will be raised back to life. So, the reason why the Almighty Allah will send a rain for 40 years before the resurrection, because many a time he used to give a parable of the resurrection with the process of growing a vegetation. He said, Wallahu allazi arsala riyaha fatasiru sahaban fasuknahu ila baladin mayyitin fa'ayna bil arda ba'da mawtiha kadhalika an-nushur. Allah is the one that sent forth Yusil Riyaha, is the one that drives the winds. Fatasiru Sahaban, he is the one that sent powerful winds that drive the clouds and fill them with water. Fatasiru Sahaban, he would arouse the clouds, fill them with water. Fasukna ila balad, then we will drive the rain to a dead land. Ila baladin mayyitin fa'ayna bil arda ba'da mawtiha, and by means of the rain we revive the dead land so that it can produce vegetation. He said kazalika an-nushur, and it is in the same process the resurrection will take place. The resurrection will take no any other process than the process of growing a vegetation. That's after the rainfall, then the seeds that we sowed in the earth will start growing after the rain. They will come out of the earth. In the same manner, dead people after the reign of 40 years will come out of their graves. كذلك النشور. Then Israfil will blow in the trumpet. The first servant that will be raised back to life after this blow is our dear Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as he said, Ana awwalu man tanshaqqu anhu al-ard. I am the first to be raised back to life. I am the first that will come out from my grave of all the creatures. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When you pick up his suri, then a blow will be made into the trumpet. فَإِذَا هُمْ مِنَ الْأَجْدَاثِ. Behold, they will come out from their grave. That is, the dead people will come out from their individual graves. They will start scrambling from their graves. مِنَ الْأَجْدَاثِ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ يَنْسِلُونَ, are rushing to where their Lord called them. يوم يخرجون من الأجداث سراعا كأنهم جراد منتشر يهدون إلى الدار إلى ربهم ينسلون. They will rush to where they are called for the judgment.
قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون.
Wow! Wake us up from our deep slumber, from our sleep. من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد من بعثنا من مرقدنا. Who woke us up from our sleep? هذا ما وعد الرحمن. The Almighty Allah will respond to their shout on the tongues of His angels. هذا ما وعد الرحمن. This is what the all-beneficial Lord promised. The all-beneficent promised His creatures resurrection after death. You know, they used to ask, متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين. هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون. متى هذا الوعد, when is this promise going to be fulfilled of resurrection? So they will be reminded that this is the promise given by all the prophets, that after death there will be resurrection. And now the resurrection has taken place. Why are you shouting? Why are you crying? هذا ما وعد الرحمن. This is what the all beneficent promised. وصدق المرسلون. And his apostles that he sent said the truth. That is, they were truthful in their claim that resurrection is going to take place after death.
إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون.
إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة. In the same manner that a single blast claimed their lives, all of them, all the living things were struck dead by a single blast, so is the resurrection. Only a single blast, a single cry, a single blow in the horn will raise them back to life by angel Israfil alayhi salam. And that angel in charge of the horn will be commanded to scream, to blow in the horn, and that single blow will raise them back to life. In kanat bima'na ma kanat illa sayhatan wahidatan. It will be nothing, it will take nothing to resurrect them except a single cry, a single blow in the horn. Wahidatan فَإِذَا هُمْ جَمِيعٌ لَدَيْنَا. Behold, all of them will be raised and arraigned before us for judgment and decision. That is, all the creatures. وَتَرَى كُلَّ أُمَّةٍ جَاثِيَةٍ كُلُّ أُمَّةٍ تُدْعَى إِلَى كِتَابِهَا الْيَوْمَ تُجْزَوْنَ مَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. On that day, all the nations will be raised back and will be arraigned before the Almighty Allah, before the Supreme Lord for judgment. فَإِذَا هُمْ جَمِيعٌ. All of them, they will be brought and arraigned. لَدَيْنَا. Before us, said the Almighty Allah. مُودَرُونَ. All of them will be brought together.
فَالْيَوْمَ لَا تُظْلَمُ نَفْسٌ شَيْئًا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون.
On that day, the day of resurrection, فَالْيَوْمَ لَا تُظْلَمُ نَفْسٌ شَيْئًا. No soul will be wronged of its deeds. Whether righteous deed, he wouldn't have it diminished. Whether sinful acts, he wouldn't have it increased. No, he will be given a just measure on that day. وَنَدَعُ الْمَوَازِينَ الْقِسْطَ لِيَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ فَلَا تُظْلَمُ نَفْسٌ شَيْئًا وَإِنْ كَانَ مِثْقَالُ حَبَّةٍ مِّنْ خَرْدَلٍ أَتَيْنَا بِهَا وَكَفَى بِنَا حَاسِبِينَ. On that day, we are going to establish a just that is means of measure, where their deeds will be measured accurately, and even if a deed is as small as mustard seed, it will be brought before the Almighty Allah and it will be judged for. No soul will have its righteous deeds diminished, nor is it going to have its sinful acts increased. فَلَا تُظْلَمُ نَفْسٌ شَيْئًا فَالْيَوْمَ. On that day, لَا تُظْلَمُ نَفْسٌ شَيْئًا. No soul will be wronged. وَلَا تُجْزَوْنَ. You wouldn't be requited إِلَّا مَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ, except for what you have been doing in the world.
إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون.
What will happen after the judgment? Of course, after the judgment, إِنَّ الْأَبْرَارَ لَفِي نَعِيمٍ وَإِنَّ الْفُجَّارَ لَفِي جَحِيمٍ. That's all. It takes no much, it takes no difficulty to judge between the entire kingdom of creation in just a twinkling of an eye. Only that it will be prolonged for تعرج الملائكة والروح إليه في يوم كان مقداره 50,000 سنة. But as for the believing servants, the Prophet ﷺ said they will see it as كَقَدْرِ صَلَاةٍ مَكْتُوبَةٍ. It won't be in any longer than what it takes a servant to perform an obligatory prayer. The whole day of resurrection won't be any longer for a Muslim, for a righteous Muslim, than a period that will take a servant to perform a single obligatory prayer. Qadri Salatin Maktuba. As for the unbelievers, it will be prolonged for them to even see that the day would last as long as over 50,000 years. 50,000 sana. Then after the judgment, Ashab al-Jannati, as for those that will be admitted into paradise, the believing servants, al-yawma, on that day, fi shughlin fakihun, with nothing but enjoyment and rejoicing.
وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون.
That will not negate the fact that they will still have some other women in paradise, and without any prejudice, without any feeling, any jealous feelings, because you have left this in this world. There will be no any painful feeling in paradise at all. There wouldn't be any feeling of regret of any kind whatsoever. Hum wa azwajum, the inmates of paradise and their spouses, fi zilalin, they will stay in shades, alal araiki muttaki'un, while lying on couches and beds made in paradise, muttaki'un.
لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون.
They will be inclining on their couches, in shades, enjoying themselves with their spouses. There will be nothing such as haram in paradise. Nothing is considered as sinful. In fact, if you want to live your life to the fullest, as some people used to say, it's only realize it is utmost reality in paradise and nowhere else. you have no evil, you wouldn't feel remorse in the way and manner you conduct yourself. In fact, there wouldn't be anything such as sinful act. There wouldn't be anything such as regret or fear on an attack by somebody, or any regretful feelings or anything of that sort at all. في ذلك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون. On that day in paradise they will be provided with all manner of vegetables, all sorts of vegetables, a means of enjoyment. وَلَهُمْ مَا يَدَّعُونَ. And whatever they order for, they are free to make an order of anything, just like people staying in 5-star hotel. Whatever they want is going to be provided. And even if it is not, if they cannot say it here, once they place an order from their rooms, they will be served in their rooms whatever they want to eat or they want to drink. So is the case. In fact, it's far much more better. It's far much better in paradise. In fact, there is no any basis of comparison between this world and paradise at all. They will be provided with all manner of vegetables and whatever they want. And they will have whatever they order for, whatever they call for. It will instantly be provided at their. That is why in Surat Yasin he said, "Fi jannatin aliyah, qutufuha daniyah." That in paradise, the fruits of the trees of paradise will be so near that if you are seated, you don't need to even use your hand. You can use your mouth to even eat the fruit. If you are lying, you don't have to rise up for any fruit. You can even eat it while lying, and it will cause you no disturbance at all, no discomfort of any kind. Salamu.
Salam qawlan min Rabbir Rahim.
And the divine greetings will be declared to them. Salam. You can see somebody enjoying himself in this world, yet he is in terrible fear because he knows that he might have been pursued by some wicked people that wanted his life. Or probably he might have stolen somebody's money, or he embezzled some money from that public money, and he lodged himself in a hotel enjoying himself. He will be full of fear. For him to even douse the fear, he might be taking some intoxicants like alcoholics, cocaine, or anything, so as to forget the fact that he was being pursued by somebody, or sooner or later he is going to be caught by those he embezzled, that is those who are pursuing him. But in paradise, not only would they remain perpetually in enjoyment, they will have the greeting of peace by the Almighty Allah, that they will have no cause to worry anymore. They will have no cause to worry any longer in their future life, because time will never count there. There will be no end to the enjoyment. Salam, the word of salam will be declared by the Almighty Allah to them. Qawlan, as if a question is asked. Salam from who? From a neighbor? From a friend? From members of the family? From well-wishers? The Almighty said, no. Qawlan min Rabbir Rahim. Salam as a word of greeting from the most min Rabbir Rahim, from the Lord, from the most merciful Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala.
وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون.
That is, here we have finished with Inna Labrara Lafi Na'im. The righteous servants will remain in the blissful abode in paradise. Fi Na'im. Now we are going to discuss Wa Inna Al-Fujjara Lafi Jahim. Wamtaz al-yawma ayyuha al-mujrimun. Get aside. The Almighty Allah will command an angel to shout at the unbelievers, "Get aside, ayyuhal mujrimun, O you the criminals, the unbelieving servants. Ayyuhal mujrimun, alam ahdi ilaykum."
ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين.
Alam ahdi ilaykum, didn't I make a covenant with you? Ya Bani Adam, oh you the children of Adam, all of you, didn't I take a covenant with you? Allah ta'budu shaitan, that you shouldn't worship the devil. Innahu lakum, that the devil is aduwwun mubinun, an open enemy to you, not to me. Of course, the cause of enmity between the Almighty Allah and his servant devil is no other than Adam himself. It was because of Adam that the Almighty Allah cursed the devil, because the devil envied Adam for being preferred and exalted by the Almighty Allah above the angels, and the angels were commanded to prostrate to him. The devil envied him and he refused to prostrate. Otherwise, the Almighty Allah does not have anything against the devil as a creature. Only that the devil disobeyed him, and he had never disobeyed him before. He only disobeyed him when he was commanded to prostrate before Adam. As far as he was concerned, he didn't see the justification for that. So he did not. That is why the Almighty Allah is reminding us, all of us, that Alam ahadi ilaykum, didn't I take covenant with you, all you the children of Adam, Ya Bani Adam, O you the children of Adam, Allah ta'budu shaitan, that you shouldn't worship the devil. Innahu lakum, that the devil is to you aduwwun mubin, an open and sworn enemy that will never repent. No amount of obedience by human beings to the devil that will make him change his position towards them. In fact, the more they obey him, the more he lead them astray and get them destroyed. Inna lakum aduwwun mubin.
وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم.
And of course, inclusive was this in the covenant I took with you, I made with you, that you should worship me rather than worshiping the devil. وأن اعبدوني بمعنى ألم أهد إليكم يا بني ألا تعبدوا الشيطان وأن اعبدوني, that you should worship me and me alone. هذا صراط مستقيم. I told you that this is the right path, that is to worship me and me alone, and avoid the devil that who happened to be your sworn enemy.
ولقد ضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون.
أفلم تكونوا تعقلون. ولقد, certainly, verily the devil أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا. He led astray many nations among human beings, that many nations. He led astray many people among you, that is those who came before you. Of course, the story of the unbelievers of Prophet Noah was narrated to us, as well as that of the unbelievers, Prophet Hud, Prophet Saleh, Prophet Abraham, Prophet Moses, Prophet Jesus Christ, up to. Then it means he led astray quite a number of human beings who obeyed him. Adalla minkum, he led astray from you jibillan kasiran, quite a number of people. Afalam takun taqilun, won't you have a sense of reasoning so as to stop obeying him, so that you can avoid being led astray as you forebears or those who came before you were led astray by him?
هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون.
But as for now, it is too late for you to make any amend. You are already here. You have arrived. You would have made an amend only when you are alive. So, no amount of regret can salvage your situation. You are already doomed for the punishment. هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون. Here is the hellfire that you have been promised, which you always consistently deny. You always ask, متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين. When is this promise going to be fulfilled? Now the promise is fulfilled. Here you are before the hellfire, and nothing whatsoever can stop you from being thrown into it. Nothing whatsoever since you arrived here. You would have mended your ways while you are alive. But since you died and arrived here, then there is no going back. There is virtually no way you can reverse to your worldly life. هذه جهنم. This is the hellfire. التي كنتم توعدون, the one that you have been promised by your prophets.
اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون.
Ask a question that the mother was doing well as he, and it was mentioned, Sayyidina Ibrahim والسلام, that his father will be among those that are going to hellfire. Is it his father or his uncle that he wants to go?
Well, there was actually disagreement between scholars as to the man referred to by the Holy Quran as father of Abraham, Azar. But the most sound opinion held by majority of scholars such as Qurtubi and others is that Azar was uncle to Abraham. And this is in line with the tradition of the Holy Quran that always referred to uncles as fathers. Take for example, the passage of Surah Al-Baqarah that mentioned the genealogy of prophet of the Israelites. The Almighty Allah said, when Prophet Jacob came to die, he summoned his children, all of them. هل كنتم شهداء إذ حضر يعقوب الموت إذ قال لبنيه ما تعبدون من بعدي. Were you around when Prophet Jacob was visited by death and he summoned all of his children and he addressed them saying, what are you going to worship after my departure, after my demise? They responded, قالوا نعبد إلهك وإله آبائك إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق إلها واحدا ونحن له مسلمون. We're going to worship إلهك, your God, وإله آبائك, the God of your forebears, Ibrahim, who are the fathers of the God of your fathers, Ibrahim, Abraham, wa Ismail and Ishmael, Abraham, Ishmael, and Isaac. Here you can see Ishmael was never a father to Jacob. He was only his uncle. But Ishmael was mentioned even first before the biological father. Do you get it here? Ibrahim or Ismail or Isaac. Jacob was the son of Isaac, not the son of Ishmael. Yet Ishmael was mentioned as his father. You can see, this is a common tradition of the Holy Quran that it is sometimes refers to uncles as fathers. So when it mentioned Azar as the father of Abraham, of course, it is in the same notion. Do you get it? And in addition, the Almighty Allah narrated to us what happened between Abraham and that uncle of his Azar. That when Abraham preached to his uncle, Ya abati, lima ta'budu ma la yasma'u, wa la yusiru, wa la yughni anka shay'a. Why do you worship? Why are you so devoted to things that do not listen, nor do they see, That is idols. And they cannot avail you in any way. When he sent away Abraham, Abraham promised him prayer, that I will keep praying for your forgiveness. سَأَسْتَغْفِرُ لَكَ رَبِّي إِنَّهُ كَانَ بِي حَفِيًّا. And Abraham made good of his promise. The Almighty Allah narrated to us how Abraham made good of his promise. He kept praying for that man. وَاغْفِرْ لِأَبِي إِنَّهُ كَانَ مِنَ الضَّالِّينَ وَلَا تُخْزِنِي. Oh God, forgive my uncle, of course, father. As the Holy Quran always mentioned, as I said earlier, refers to uncles as fathers. But that is not the point. In keeping with the promise, Abraham continued praying, as narrated in another passage of the Holy Quran. The Almighty Allah said, وَمَا كَانَ اسْتِغْفَارُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ لِأَبِيهِ إِلَّا أَنْ مَوْئِدَةٍ وَعَدَهَا إِيَّاهُ فَلَمَّا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ أَنَّهُ عَدُوٌّ لِلَّهِ تَبَرَّأَ مِنْهُ. The prayer for forgiveness by Abraham for his father was made only based on a promise Abraham made to his father. But when it was clear, when it became clear for Abraham that that man was an enemy of Allah, Abraham disowned him and stopped praying for his forgiveness. Do you get this? Then, towards the end, that Abraham abandoned him and stopped praying for his forgiveness. Then, after Abraham abandoned him, Abraham was blessed with children, Ishmael, Isaac, and a grandchild, Jacob. Towards the end of the life of Abraham, Abraham was narrated by the same holy book, the Holy Quran, praying for his biological parents. He said, Alhamdulillah allazi wahaba li alal kibari. You can see age here is mentioned, old age. Ismaila wa Ishaq, inna rabbi la sami'ud du'a. Rabbi ja'alni muqima salati wa min zurriyyati. Rabbana taqabbal du'a. Rabbana ighfir wa liwalidayya wa lil mu'minina yawma yaqumul hisab. Abraham said, all praise be to the Almighty Allah that granted me at old age children Ishmael and Isaac. My Lord is all hearing to prayers. Oh my Lord, make me steadfast in prayer and raise a nation of my progeny that will be committed to prayers. Oh my Lord, accept my prayer as he used to. Taqabbal du'a. Oh my Lord, forgive me, said Abraham towards the end of his life. Waliwalidayya, and my parents, you can see, after having stopped praying for that unbelieving uncle, for that disbelieving uncle, now he's praying at the end, that at the zenith of his life, he's praying for his real biological parents. Waliwalidayya walilmu'minina. This is the reason why this is the major point that scholars who hold the view that that man was an uncle to Abraham. And in addition to these verses, the tradition of the Prophet ﷺ said, لم يزل ربي ينقلني من الأصلاب الطيبة إلى الأرحام الطاهرة من لدن آدم وحواء إلى عبد الله وآمنة مصفا مهذبا لا أرشع شعبة إلا كنت في خيرهما وما مسني شيء من أمر الجاهلية. My Lord kept keeping me in the parents that are righteous. He will always pick me from a righteous father into the womb of a righteous mother. From Adam and Hawa down to Abdullah and Amina, nothing of the dirt of Jahiliyyah, pre-Islamic period of ignorance, touched me, said the Prophet. You can see here, a grandson of Abraham. If that disbelieving man was a father, biological father of Abraham, then you can see it negates this. And Abraham would have stopped praying for him, and at the end of his life, he prayed for his real biological parents. So that is that. May God forgive us. May God save our devotional prayers, fasting by the virtue of the Lord, by the virtue of Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. May God prolong the life of Mawlana Sheikh. May God help Islam, Muslim by the virtue of the Lord, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Bismillah.
Remember when He overwhelmed you with drowsiness, giving security from Him, and sent down upon you from the sky rain by which to purify you and remove from you the evil suggestions of Satan?